The afternoon sun cast a golden glow over Lincoln Park, a small oasis of green in the heart of Oakland, California. Children's laughter mingled with the rustle of leaves, and the distant hum of traffic on MacArthur Boulevard reminded Maya Johnson that the city was never truly still. At 34, Maya, a Black American kindergarten teacher, cherished these rare, quiet moments. She sat on a weathered wooden bench, her sensible flats kicked off, toes curling into the cool grass beneath. Her braided hair, pulled into a loose bun, caught the breeze, and she closed her eyes, letting the warmth seep into her bones. Teaching 22 5-year-olds 5 days a week at West Oakland Elementary was a joy, but it drained her. Weekends were no respite, filled with tutoring sessions to make ends meet and visits to her Aunt Clara, who had raised her and now battled lung cancer. Today, though, a canceled tutoring session gifted Maya 2 precious hours to herself, a luxury she hadn't known in months. She exhaled, savoring the freedom, her mind drifting to childhood memories in this neighborhood. Oakland's vibrant streets, with music, murals, and community cookouts, had shaped her. Clara's laughter, her stories of the Black Panther's legacy, and the Sunday services at Bethel AME Church had grounded Maya in a sense of purpose. That purpose, caring for others, defined her, but it also left little room for her own needs. A small, stifled sob broke her reverie. Maya's eyes snapped open, scanning the playground. On the swing set, a boy, no older than 6, sat alone, his head bowed, shoulders trembling. His blue dinosaur t-shirt was slightly too big, and one untied shoelace dangled precariously. He wiped his nose with his sleeve, trying to hide his tears. Maya glanced around. No parents, no guardians, just the boy, small and vulnerable against the park's vastness. Her heart tugged, a familiar instinct kicking in. She'd seen that look before in her students, fear masked by a brave front. Slipping her shoes back on, Maya stood and approached slowly, her steps soft on the sand. She knelt a few feet away, keeping her voice gentle. "Hi there," she said, offering a warm smile. "Are you okay?" The boy looked up, his wide, tear-filled eyes meeting hers. His lower lip quivered, but he managed a whisper. "I lost my dad." Maya nodded, her tone steady to soothe him. "That sounds scary. My name's Maya. What's yours?" "Ethan," he said, his voice barely audible. "Ethan, I bet your dad's looking for you right now. How about I wait with you until he finds you?" Maya suggested, pointing to the swing beside him. "Can I sit here?" Ethan nodded, a flicker of relief crossing his small face. Maya settled onto the swing, keeping her posture open and non-threatening. She noticed his untied shoelace again. "Want me to fix that for you? It'll be safer for walking." He nodded again, and as Maya knelt to tie his shoe, she kept the conversation light. "So Ethan, what's your favorite dinosaur? That T-Rex on your shirt looks pretty fierce." "Velociraptor," he mumbled, a spark of interest in his eyes. "They're fast and smart. Smart, huh?" Maya said they'd make great spies, tying a neat bow like that squirrel. She pointed to a squirrel perched on a nearby tree, its head cocked as if watching them. "See how it's staring? It's gathering secrets for the Squirrel Intelligence Agency." Ethan's eyes widened, a tiny smile breaking through. "That's not real," he said, his voice stronger. "Oh, it's genuine," Maya insisted, keeping her face serious. "It's taking notes with little paws and probably reporting back to headquarters." She mimed a squirrel scribbling, and Ethan let out a genuine giggle, his fear easing. They were deep in a story about the squirrel's secret mission when a man's voice cut through the air. "Ethan! Thank God!" A tall white man with dark hair and a lean build sprinted across the lawn, his jeans and gray t-shirt slightly rumpled. Tight with panic, his face softened into relief as he spotted Ethan. Maya stood, brushing sand from her hands, as Ethan leapt off the swing. "Daddy!" Ethan ran to his father, who scooped him up in a fierce hug, burying his face in the boy's hair. The man set Ethan down, but kept a protective hand on his shoulder. He turned to Maya, his blue eyes catching hers with a mix of gratitude and something else. Surprise, perhaps, or weariness. "He's okay," Maya said, her smile warm but professional. "Just a little scared. We made friends with some spy squirrels while we waited." Ethan tugged at his father's sleeve. "She's nice, Daddy. She tied my shoes and told me about spy squirrels." The man's expression softened, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Thank you for staying with him," he said, his voice deep, still edged with lingering fear. I turned around for 2 seconds to toss our lunch trash, and he was gone. "It happens," Maya said, waving off his apology. "Kids are quick. I'm just glad he's safe." He looked at her then, really looked, taking in her simple sundress, the braids framing her face, the kindness in her brown eyes. Something shifted in his gaze, a flicker of recognition, though Maya couldn't place why. "I'm Nathan," he said, extending his hand. "Nathan Carter." "Maya Johnson," she replied, shaking his hand. His grip was firm but gentle, and for a moment, their eyes held, a quiet understanding passing between them. "Miss Maya teaches kindergarten," Ethan announced proudly, repeating what she'd shared earlier. "Is that right?" Nathan's smile widened, though his eyes remained guarded. "That explains why you're so good with kids." Maya shrugged, deflecting the compliment. "I've always loved them. They see the world differently." An awkward pause followed, the weight of the moment settling in. She picked up her purse from the bench. "Well, I should get going. I'm glad you found your dad, Ethan. Keep those shoes tied, okay?" She winked at Ethan, who nodded solemnly. As she turned to leave, Nathan's voice stopped her. "Wait. Could I buy you a coffee to thank you properly? There's a place right across the street." Maya hesitated. She wasn't in the habit of accepting invitations from strangers, even ones with kind eyes and a cute kid. But something in Nathan's voice, sincere, almost lonely, caught her off guard. She glanced at Ethan, who looked hopeful, then back at Nathan. "I've got about an hour before I need to check on my aunt," she said finally. Nathan's face lit up, a mix of relief and quiet joy. "Perfect." As they walked toward the park exit, Ethan between them, Maya felt a strange lightness. She didn't know Nathan Carter, didn't know his story, but she knew the look of a father who loved his son fiercely, and she knew the pull of a moment that felt like it could change everything. She didn't know that Nathan was more than a worried dad, that he was a billionaire hiding from a life of scrutiny, and that her simple act of kindness was the beginning of something far greater than she could imagine. The sun dipped lower over Lincoln Park, casting long shadows across the playground as Maya Johnson walked with Nathan Carter and Ethan toward the park's edge. Ethan skipped ahead, his newly tied shoelaces bouncing, chattering about velociraptors. Maya clutched her purse, her mind wrestling with the decision to join them for coffee. She wasn't impulsive. Years of balancing teaching, tutoring, and caring for Aunt Clara had made her cautious, especially with men. Past fleeting and shallow relationships had taught her to guard her heart. Yet Nathan's earnest gratitude and Ethan's trusting smile tugged at her, stirring a curiosity she couldn't ignore. They crossed MacArthur Boulevard to Bean and Leaf, a cozy cafe between a barbershop and a mural-covered bookstore. The cafe's warm lights spilled onto the sidewalk, and the aroma of fresh coffee greeted them as Nathan held the door open. Inside, wooden tables were scattered with students typing on laptops and locals sipping lattes. A chalkboard menu advertised Oakland Blend, a nod to the city's pride. Maya felt at ease here, at where her community gathered, and where she'd shared laughs with colleagues over late-night grading sessions. "Pick a spot, Ethan," Nathan said, his voice soft but firm. Ethan chose a corner table by a window, plopping into a chair with a coloring book Nathan pulled from a backpack. Maya slid into the seat across from Ethan, while Nathan headed to the counter to order. She watched him, noting how he moved, confident yet unassuming, his gray t-shirt slightly wrinkled, as if he'd grabbed it without thought. There was something familiar about him, a flicker of recognition she couldn't place, like a face from a newsstand magazine. "What are you drawing?" Maya asked Ethan, leaning forward. His crayons danced across the page, sketching a lopsided dinosaur. "A raptor," he said, not looking up. "It's chasing the spy squirrel." Maya grinned. "That squirrel's in big trouble now. Does the raptor work for the agency too?" Ethan giggled, shaking his head. "No, it's a rogue agent. It doesn't follow the rules." She said that sounds like a story I'd read, her teacher's instinct kicking in. "You could write it one day." Ethan's eyes lit up, but before he could reply, Nathan returned with a tray. A latte for Maya, black coffee for himself, and chocolate milk for Ethan. Nathan said, "Hope I got it right," sliding the latte toward her. "You seem like a late person." "Good guess," Maya said, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. "However, I'm usually a tea drinker. Keeps me calm for my kindergartners." Nathan settled into his chair, his gaze steady, but not intrusive. "Kindergarten, huh? That's a special kind of patience. What's it like, wrangling all those kids?" Maya laughed, the sound easing the tension in her shoulders. "Rewarding, exhausting, and never dull. Yesterday, one of my kids tried to borrow the class hamster for a sleepover. Took me 10 minutes to negotiate its return." Nathan's smile was genuine, crinkling the corners of his eyes. "It sounds like you're part teacher and part diplomat." "Pretty much," she said, sipping her latte. "But I love it. They're honest, curious. They remind me to see the world with fresh eyes." Ethan piped up, crayon paused. "Do you read dinosaur books to your class?" "All the time," Maya said. "We've got one about a T-Rex who wants to be a chef. You'd like it." "I want to hear it," Ethan said, bouncing in his seat. "Maybe next time we're at the park," Maya promised, then caught herself. Next time? She hadn't planned on seeing them again, yet the words slipped out, natural and unguarded. Nathan's expression softened, as if he'd caught the implication. "He'd love that," he said quietly. "So would I." A beat of silence followed, charged with unspoken possibility. Maya's cheeks warmed, and she shifted the focus. "What about you, Nathan? What do you do when you're not chasing Ethan around the park?" His smile faltered, just for a moment, before he recovered. "I work from home, mostly. Tech stuff. Coding, consulting. Pretty boring compared to shaping young minds." His vagueness didn't escape her. Most people love to talk about their jobs, especially in Oakland's growing tech scene. But Nathan deflected, his eyes flicking to Ethan, as if checking for a reaction. Maya's curiosity deepened, but she didn't press. Instead, she asked, "Do you like it? Working from home?" "It's flexible," he said, stirring his coffee. "Let me be there for Ethan. That's what matters." She nodded, sensing a story behind his words, a story he wasn't ready to share. Ethan, oblivious, slurped his chocolate milk and returned to his drawing. Maya glanced at her watch. Her hour was nearly up. She needed to pick up Clara's medication before the pharmacy closed. "I should get going," she said, rising. "My aunt's expecting me." Nathan stood too, a flicker of disappointment crossing his face. "Of course. Thanks again for helping Ethan." Most people wouldn't have stopped. I can't imagine walking past a kid who needs help, Maya said, slinging her purse over her shoulder. It was nice meeting you both. Ethan looked up, his face falling. Will you come to the park again? I can show you my raptor impression. Maya hesitated, her heart softening at his hopeful expression. I'm here sometimes on Thursdays, she said. My tutoring ends early. No promises, though. That's our park day, Ethan said, grinning. Right, Daddy? Nathan looked slightly embarrassed. Ethan, Maya's probably busy. But if you're around, we'd love to see you. She smiled, meeting Nathan's eyes. Good to know. They walked out together, Ethan between them, his small hand brushing Maya's as he chattered about dinosaurs. They parted ways at the street corner. Maya went toward the pharmacy, and Nathan and Ethan returned to their car. She waved as Ethan called, Bye, Miss Maya. Nathan's gaze lingered, a quiet intensity that made her pulse quicken. As she walked away, Maya felt a lightness she hadn't expected. The cafe conversation had been easy, natural, despite Nathan's guardedness. She thought of her past relationships, men who saw her as a caretaker, not a partner, who faded when life got heavy. Nathan was different, or at least he seemed to be. But she knew better than to trust first impressions. Still, Ethan's giggle and Nathan's attentive questions lingered in her mind, like a melody she couldn't shake. What she didn't know was that Nathan Carter was no ordinary dad. He was the reclusive founder of Carter Security Systems, a billionaire who had vanished from the public eye after a brutal divorce. His invitation to coffee wasn't just gratitude. It was a spark, a chance to connect with someone who saw him, not his wealth. And for Maya, that moment in the cafe was the start of a journey that would upend her carefully ordered life. The late afternoon sun filtered through the oak trees of Lincoln Park, casting dappled shadows on the playground, where Maya Johnson sat on a bench, a picture book about a dinosaur chef open in her lap. Ethan Carter, his dinosaur t-shirt swapped for a green one with a triceratops, listened raptly as she read, his small hands clutching a juice box. 2 weeks had passed since their coffee had been in leaf. Maya returned to the park every Thursday after tutoring, drawn by Ethan's infectious enthusiasm and Nathan Carter's quiet, attentive presence. Today, Nathan sat beside her, his elbows on his knees, watching Ethan with a soft smile that made Maya's chest tighten in a way she wasn't ready to name. And so, T-Rex flipped the pancake with his tiny arms. Maya read, her voice animated. Ethan giggled, mimicking the T-Rex's clumsy flip. She closed the book, handing it to him. Your turn to read it to me tomorrow. Deal, Ethan said, clutching the book like a treasure. He scampered to the slide, leaving Maya and Nathan in a comfortable silence. Nathan said, You're good with him, his voice low, almost reverent. He hasn't stopped talking about you since the park that first day. Maya smiled, tucking a braid behind her ear. He's easy to like. It reminds me of my kindergartners, who were full of questions and big ideas. Nathan's eyes lingered on her, warm but guarded, as if weighing how much to share. He's starting first grade soon. Keeps talking about science projects. I'm hoping I can keep up. You will, Maya said. You're out here every week making time for him. That's what counts. Nathan nodded, but a shadow crossed his face, fleeting and unreadable. Maya noticed it, just as she'd noticed his vague answers about his work. Always tech stuff, always from home. She wanted to ask more, but the ease of their conversation, the way he asked about her students' latest antics or Aunt Clara's health, made her hesitate. He listened, his phone untouched, his focus solely on her. It was disarming, different from the men she'd known who talked more than they heard. Their routine had settled into a rhythm. Thursdays after her tutoring, Saturdays when she could steal an hour. Sometimes they stayed at the park, Ethan dragging Maya to the swings to show off his raptor jump. Other times, they grabbed coffee at Bean and Leaf, Ethan coloring while discussing books, music, or the quirks of Oakland life. Maya shared stories of her students. Nathan shared snippets of Ethan's obsession with fossils. Each meeting felt like a thread weaving them closer, though Maya couldn't shake the feeling that Nathan was holding something back. Today, as Ethan slid down the slide, Nathan pulled out a thermos of coffee, pouring her a cup. "Thought you might need this after a long week," he said, handing it to her. Their fingers brushed, and Maya's pulse quickened, a reaction she tried to ignore. "Thanks," she said, sipping the coffee, black, just how she liked it. "You're spoiling me." "Hardly," Nathan said, his smile teasing and just trying to keep up with the woman who tames kindergartners and spy squirrels. She laughed, the sound mingling with the park's hum, kids shouting, a street musician playing a saxophone nearby. Oakland's vibrancy surrounded them, from the mural of Angela Davis on a nearby wall to the community garden where elders tended vegetables. Maya felt rooted here in a city that had shaped her resilience and pride. Yet Nathan, with his easy charm and guarded eyes, felt like a puzzle, one she was increasingly eager to solve. At school the next day, Maya was organizing art supplies when her colleague Lisa, a fellow teacher and longtime friend, leaned against the classroom door. "You're glowing, Maya," Lisa said, her eyes twinkling. "Don't tell me it's just the kids making you smile like that." Maya rolled her eyes, but a grin betrayed her. "It's nothing, Lisa. Just been spending time with a friend and his son." "Uh-huh," Lisa said, crossing her arms. "A friend, huh? Spill it. Is he cute?" Maya hesitated, then laughed. "He's nice. His kid's adorable. We hang out at the park, that's all." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "Park dates with a single dad? Girl, you're halfway to a rom-com. Just make sure he's worth your time. You've got a big heart, but you don't give it away easily." Lisa's words stuck with Maya as she drove home. She'd grown up in Oakland's tight-knit community, where neighbors looked out for each other, and Clara's wisdom taught her to value substance over flash. Nathan seemed genuine, but his evasiveness nagged at her. Was she reading too much into their connection? Or was there more to him than he let on? That Saturday, Maya arrived at the park to find Nathan and Ethan waiting by their usual bench. Ethan ran to her, waving a new dinosaur book. "Miss Maya, look! It's got a pterodactyl!" he shouted, tugging her hand. "Nice one," she said, ruffling his hair. "Are you teaching your dad about flying dinosaurs yet?" "He's trying," Nathan said, joining them. His smile was warm, but his eyes held that familiar caution. "We would like you to join us for a picnic next weekend. Ethan's birthday is coming up, and he insists you're invited." Maya glanced at Ethan, who nodded eagerly. "You gotta come. We're having dinosaur cake." Her heart softened, but a flicker of doubt surfaced. A birthday party meant meeting Nathan's world, his home, his life. She barely knew him, yet the thought of saying no felt wrong. "Where's the party?" she asked, keeping her tone light. Nathan handed her a small card with an address in Piedmont Hills, Oakland's upscale enclave. "It's at our place," he said, his voice casual but his eyes searching hers. "Nothing fancy, just a few of Ethan's friends. We'd love to have you." Maya's fingers traced the card, her mind racing. Piedmont Hills was a world away from her modest apartment and West Oakland's vibrant chaos. What was Nathan's life really like? And why did stepping into it both thrill and unsettle her? "Okay," she said finally, meeting Ethan's hopeful gaze. "I'll be there." Ethan cheered, hugging her legs, while Nathan's face lit up with relief. "Great," he said. "It means a lot to Ethan, and to me." As they walked to the park's edge, Ethan chattering about his birthday plans, Maya felt a pull toward this man and his son. A pull she couldn't quite define. She didn't know that Nathan Carter's address in Piedmont Hills hid a secret. A mansion, a fortune, a life he'd buried to escape the spotlight. But for now, in the fading light of Lincoln Park, it was just the three of them, bound by stories, laughter, and the promise of something new. Maya Johnson stepped off the bus in Piedmont Hills, clutching a wrapped dinosaur encyclopedia for Ethan's birthday. With its manicured lawns and sprawling estates, the Oakland neighborhood felt like another world compared to her modest West Oakland apartment. Her simple yellow dress and cardigan seemed out of place among the sleek SUVs and gated driveways. She checked the address Nathan Carter had given her, her stomach nodding with excitement and unease. The invitation to Ethan's party was a step into Nathan's life, and while Ethan's enthusiasm had swayed her, the upscale address hinted at a reality she hadn't anticipated. The house, no, mansion, loomed at the end of a circular driveway, its modern glass and steel facade gleaming under the midday sun. Ornate gates stood open, and a lush garden framed the entrance. Maya hesitated, her fingers tightening around the gift. This wasn't just a home, but a statement, a world of wealth she couldn't fathom. What was Nathan hiding? Before she could second-guess her decision, the gates parted further, and Nathan jogged down the driveway, his face breaking into a relieved smile. "Maya, you made it," he said, his voice warm but tinged with anxiety. "I was worried you'd get lost. Maya said your place is something," unable to mask her surprise. "You said it wasn't fancy." Nathan rubbed the back of his neck, a sheepish gesture clashing with their grandeur. "I should have been more upfront. Can we talk inside?" Maya nodded, following him up the driveway. A woman in a crisp uniform greeted them at the door. She said, "Everything's ready for the party, Mr. Carter," nodding respectfully. "The cake's in the kitchen, decorations in the backyard." "Thank you, Maria," Nathan replied, leading Maya inside. The foyer was breathtaking. High ceilings, hardwood floors, and a chandelier that caught the light like a prism. Yet, scattered toys and a dinosaur puzzle on a side table made it feel lived in, a home despite its opulence. Maya's unease grew, and her teacher's salary and small apartment flashed in her mind. Who was Nathan? "Ethan's in the backyard with his nanny, Emma," Nathan said, guiding her to a sleek sitting room with floor-to-ceiling windows. "I wanted to explain before the party starts." "Explain what?" Maya asked, sitting on the edge of a plush sofa, the gift still in her lap. Her voice was steady, but her heart raced with suspicion. Nathan ran a hand through his dark hair, his eyes searching hers. "My full name is Nathan Carter. I founded Carter Security Systems 15 years ago. We make software for corporations and governments. It did well." Maya's breath caught. Carter Security Systems. She'd seen the name in tech articles, on billboards, linked to a reclusive billionaire whose face had once graced magazine covers. A memory clicked. Nathan's face. Younger. In a Forbes profile she'd skimmed at the library. She said, "You're that Nathan Carter," hurt creeping into her tone. "Why didn't you tell me?" Nathan sat across from her, leaning forward, his expression earnest. "Because when we met, you saw me as Ethan's dad, not a headline. After my divorce, the tabloids tore my life apart. A so-called friend leaked private emails to the press, painting me as a cold tycoon who neglected his family. I stepped away from public life to protect Ethan and give him normalcy. When you didn't recognize me, it was like a gift, a chance to be myself." Maya's hurt softened, but didn't vanish. "You could have trusted me, Nathan. I told you about my life, my students, Aunt Clara. You let me think you were just some guy who works from home." "I know," he said, his voice heavy. "I wanted to tell you, but every time we talked, you were so real, so kind to Ethan. I didn't want to ruin it with my baggage. This," he gestured to the mansion, "is not who I am. It's just circumstances." Maya studied him, his blue eyes pleading, vulnerable. She thought of their park conversations, his laughter at her stories, the way he hung on her words. Was that man less real because of his wealth? "No more secrets," she said finally, her voice firm. "If we're going to be friends, or whatever this is, I need honesty." "No more secrets," Nathan promised, relief washing over his face. "I mean it, Maya." Before she could respond, Ethan burst into the room, his face lighting up. "Miss Maya!" He threw himself into her arms, oblivious to the tension. "You came to my party!" Maya hugged him tightly, her confusion easing. "Happy birthday, Ethan. I got you something." She handed him the dinosaur encyclopedia, and his eyes widened as he flipped through the pages. "Dinosaurs! Look, Daddy, it's got velociraptors!" Ethan shouted, scampering to show his nanny nearby. Nathan watched, his gaze softening as it returned to Maya. "Thank you for being here. It means everything to him. And to me." Maya nodded, her resolve wavering under his sincerity. "Let's get to that party," she said, standing. "I hear there's a dinosaur cake." As they headed to the backyard, where laughter and balloons awaited, Maya felt the weight of Nathan's revelation. She didn't care about his money, but the world it represented, scrutiny, expectations, loomed large. Yet Ethan's joy and Nathan's promise of honesty pulled her forward. She didn't know it yet, but in a mansion far from her world, this moment was the turning point of a love story that would challenge everything she thought she knew about herself. The backyard of Nathan Carter's Piedmont Hills mansion buzzed with the lively chaos of Ethan's birthday party. Balloons, shaped like dinosaurs, bobbed above a long table laden with snacks, their bright colors clashing with the sleek modernity of the estate. Maya Johnson stood near a shaded pergola, clutching a glass of lemonade, her yellow dress a splash of warmth against the manicured lawn. The revelation of Nathan's identity as a billionaire tech mogul still lingered, a quiet hum of unease beneath her enjoyment of the day. But Ethan's laughter as he chased two friends from his playgroup pulled her focus, grounding her in the moment. The party was small. Ethan, his nanny Emma, the two boys and their mothers, and a handful of Nathan's staff bustling discreetly. Maya felt the mothers' curious glances, their whispers hinting at speculation about her role. Was she the nanny? A friend? Something more? She smoothed her dress, a habit from years of standing before a classroom, and pushed the thought aside. Oakland had taught her to hold her head high, to let her actions speak louder than gossip. Her community, neighbors who shared meals, church members who prayed for Aunt Clara, valued authenticity over appearances. She'd carry that here, even in this unfamiliar world. Ethan spotted her and sprinted over, his face flushed with excitement. "Miss Maya, look!" He held up a plastic velociraptor, its jaws open in a mock roar. "It's from Tommy! It bites!" "That's one fierce raptor," Maya said, kneeling to his level. "Does it have a name yet?" "Spike," Ethan declared, then hesitated, his voice softening. "Can you play with us? It's more fun when you're here." Maya's heart squeezed. Ethan's eyes, wide and earnest, carried a weight beyond his years. "Of course," she said, taking his hand. "Let's see if Spike can outrun the other dinos." As they joined the boys in a game of dinosaur tag, Nathan watched from the table, setting out plates for the cake. His gaze followed Maya, a tender intensity that warmed her cheeks when she caught it. She dodged a giggling Ethan, her laughter mingling with the children's, and for a moment, the mansion's grandeur faded. It was just her, Ethan, and a game that felt like the playgrounds of her West Oakland childhood, where joy was simple and shared. After the game, Maya sat with Ethan on a blanket, catching her breath. The other boys left them alone to explore a bounce house. Ethan fiddled with Spike, his expression turning serious. "Miss Maya," he said quietly, "do you have a mom?" The question caught her off guard. "I did," she said gently. "She passed away when I was little. My Aunt Clara raised me. She's like my mom." Ethan nodded, his fingers tracing the toy's claws. "My mom's not around. She's busy. I don't call her mom anymore, just Vanessa." His voice was small, but steady, as if he'd rehearsed the words. "I wish you could be around all the time, like a mom." Maya's throat tightened. She saw the longing in his eyes, a need for stability that mirrored her own as a child, when Clara's love had filled the void left by her parents. "Ethan," she said, touching his shoulder, "I'm here now, and I'll come back to see you. I promise. You're pretty special to me." His face lit up, and he hugged her, his small arms fierce. "You're special too," he mumbled into her shoulder. Nathan approached, carrying a tray of cupcakes. "Everything okay over here?" he asked, his voice soft but curious. "Just making plans for more dinosaur adventures," Maya said, smiling to ease Ethan's moment of vulnerability. She stood, brushing grass from her dress, and handed Ethan a cupcake. "Right, buddy?" "Yeah," Ethan said, his grin returning as he took a big bite. Nathan set the tray down, his eyes meeting Maya's. "You have a gift with him," he said. "He doesn't open up like that with everyone." "He's easy to love," Maya replied, her words carrying more weight than she intended. Nathan's gaze held hers, a quiet understanding passing between them. The air felt charged, not with the tension of his earlier secrecy, but with something warmer, more fragile. The party continued with the dinosaur cake, a green T-Rex with icing teeth that made Ethan squeal. As they sang Happy Birthday, Maya handed Ethan her gift, the dinosaur encyclopedia. He tore open the wrapping, his eyes widening. "It's got everything!" he shouted, flipping to a page on velociraptors. "Daddy, look!" "That's amazing, buddy," Nathan said, his smile directed at Maya. "Why don't you show Emma while I talk to Maya briefly?" Ethan scampered off, book in hand, and Nathan turned to her. "I meant what I said about no more secrets," he said quietly. "I know this." He gestured to the mansion. "The staff is a lot, but I'm trying to be the guy you met in the park. Will you give me a chance to prove it?" Maya studied him, his sincerity undeniable. She thought of Ethan's words, his need for a family, and the way Nathan listened to her stories of teaching, of Oakland's community gardens and church potlucks. She said, "I don't care about all this," nodding toward the estate. "But I do care about you and Ethan. Let's keep talking, see where this goes." Nathan's relief was palpable, his smile like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I'd like that," he said. "I suggest dinner next week. Just us." Maya nodded, a cautious hope stirring. Just us. As the party wound down, Maya joined Ethan in blowing bubbles, their laughter echoing across the yard. The other mother's glances faded, irrelevant in the face of Ethan's joy and Nathan's quiet attention. But as she left the mansion, waving to Ethan's enthusiastic goodbye, Maya couldn't shake a nagging question. Could she fit into Nathan's world? Or would it unravel the life she'd built in Oakland? She didn't know that Nathan's past, and the scrutiny it carried, was about to test that question in ways she couldn't imagine. The Oakland dusk painted Lincoln Park in hues of amber as Maya Johnson sat on her usual bench, watching Ethan Carter dart across the playground, his dinosaur t-shirt a blur of green. Nathan Carter sat beside her, his arm resting casually on the bench's back, close but not touching. Over the past 2 weeks, their routine had solidified. Thursday park visits after Maya's tutoring, Saturday picnics with Ethan, and Wednesday dinners alone at a small Italian restaurant, Marco's, tucked away on a quiet street. Each moment wove them closer, yet Maya felt a persistent tug of doubt. Nathan's world, his Piedmont Hills mansion, his vague tech stuff, loomed like a shadow she couldn't quite grasp. Tonight, a Wednesday, they walked from the park to Marco's, leaving Ethan with his nanny, Emma. The restaurant's warm glow welcomed them, its walls adorned with photos of Oakland's jazz scene and community events. Maya felt at home here, where locals greeted each other like family, a reminder of the barbecues and church suppers that defined her life. She wore a simple blue dress, her nicest, and Nathan, in a charcoal blazer, looked effortlessly handsome, his smile easing her nerves. "You look beautiful," Nathan said as they settled at a corner table, his eyes lingering with quiet appreciation. "You clean up pretty well yourself," Maya replied, her teasing tone masking a flutter of nerves. She glanced at the menu, then at him. "Marco's is a far cry from your mansion. You sure you're not slumming it?" Nathan laughed, the sound warm and unguarded. "This is my kind of place. Marco doesn't care who I am, just whether I like his pasta. Besides, I'd rather be here with you than anywhere else." His words sent a warmth through her, but her mind flickered to the mansion, the staff, the life he downplayed. Could she belong in that world without losing herself? Her identity as a teacher, rooted in Oakland's vibrant streets, felt like a lifeline. She pushed the thought aside as Marco, the owner, brought over a bottle of red wine, greeting Nathan like an old friend. "Signorina Maya, you make this guy smile like I haven't seen in years," Marco said, winking. "You keep him, eh?" Maya grinned, her cheeks warming. "I'll think about it, Marco." Dinner flowed effortlessly. Nathan asked about her kindergartners, chuckling at her story of a boy who insisted his pet goldfish could sing. Maya shared her love for teaching, how it connected her to the community that had raised her. Block parties, church choirs, the resilience of West Oakland. Nathan listened intently, his questions thoughtful, and his focus never strayed. He shared stories of Ethan's latest fossil obsession, but when she asked about his work, he deflected again, mentioning coding projects with a shrug. As they stepped outside into the cool night, Nathan paused under a street lamp, his expression serious. "Maya, these past weeks, they've been different, better, because of you." He took her hand, his touch gentle. "I'm falling for you, and I think you feel it too." Her breath caught. She felt the pull of his kindness, his devotion to Ethan, and the way he saw her. But the weight of his wealth, the world it represented, lingered. "I do," she admitted, her voice soft. "But your life, Nathan, it's so different from mine. I'm a teacher. I live for my kids, my aunt, and this city. I don't know if I fit in your world. You fit with me," he said, stepping closer. "That's what matters." He leaned in, and their kiss was slow, warm, a promise under the Oakland stars. Maya's doubts softened, carried away by the moment. Days later, that moment was shattered. Maya was grading papers when her phone buzzed with a text from her colleague Lisa. "Is this you?" A link led to a tabloid article, its headline screaming, "Tech billionaire Nathan Carter's secret romance with local teacher. A grainy photo showed their park kiss, her face clear. The article detailed her job and her estimated salary, less than $50,000, and speculated if she was dazzled by Carter's billions. Comments called her a gold digger, a nobody chasing wealth. Maya's stomach churned. Her principal texted next, asking for a meeting. Parents had seen the article and were worried about paparazzi at school. Her job, reputation, and life in Oakland's close-knit community, where trust was earned through years of showing up, felt at risk. She thought of her students, her classroom, the identity she'd built. Could loving Nathan mean losing that? She texted Nathan. Saw the article. Need to talk. His reply was immediate. I'm so sorry, Maya. I'm coming over. When he arrived at her apartment, his face was drawn, guilt etched in his eyes. I tried to keep this from touching you, he said. This is why I hid, why I left the public eye. I didn't want Ethan, or you, caught in this. It's not just Ethan, Maya said, her voice shaking. This is my job, my home. People are judging me, Nathan. Parents, my principal. They think I'm after your money. I know, he said, his voice low. I'll fix what I can. Lawyers, statements. But I need you to know I'm in this, Maya. I love you. The words hit her like a wave, but fear held her back. I need time, she said, her eyes stinging. This changes everything. Nathan nodded, pain flickering across his face. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. As he left, Maya sank onto her couch, the article's words echoing. She loved Nathan, loved Ethan, but could she hold on to herself in a world that judged her for his wealth? Oakland's streets, alive with music and memory, had always been her anchor. Now, they felt like a lifeline she might lose. The morning air in Lincoln Park carried the scent of eucalyptus, a faint balm to Maya Johnson's frayed nerves as she sat on a bench, watching Ethan Carter climb the monkey bars. The tabloid article exposing her romance with Nathan Carter had turned her world upside down. Its words, gold digger, dazzled by billions, still stinging. Parents at West Oakland Elementary had emailed her principal about paparazzi threatening her job. Maya's phone buzzed with another message from a colleague, but she ignored it, focusing on Ethan's laughter. Nathan sat beside her, his presence steady but heavy with unspoken apologies. I've got lawyers working on the article, Nathan said, his voice low, eyes scanning the park for lurking cameras. They'll demand a retraction and protect your privacy. I'm so sorry, Maya. She nodded, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. It's not just the article, Nathan. It's my life, my students, my reputation. Oakland's my home. People here know me. Now they're questioning who I am. Nathan's jaw tightened, guilt etching his features. I know. I've spent years hiding from this scrutiny to keep Ethan safe. I never wanted it to touch you. Before Maya could respond, Ethan ran over, his dinosaur t-shirt dusted with sand. Miss Maya, can you push me on the swing? Sure, buddy, she said, forcing a smile. As she followed him, Nathan's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. It's Vanessa, he said, standing. Ethan's mom. She saw the article and wants to talk. She's in town. Maya's stomach knotted. Vanessa, the ex-wife who'd left Ethan behind, was a shadow in their conversations, mentioned only in passing. What does she want? Maya asked, keeping her voice neutral. To see Ethan, Nathan said, his tone clipped. She does this. Shows up when it suits her. I need to handle it. Can you stay with him? Of course, Maya said, though unease settled in her chest. She pushed Ethan on the swing, his giggles a brief distraction, but her mind churned. Vanessa's sudden interest felt tied to the tabloid, a complication she hadn't anticipated. An hour later, Vanessa arrived at the park, her sleek black car pulling up to the curb. She stepped out, tall and polished in a tailored blazer, her blonde hair swept into a perfect bun. Her presence starkly contrasted the park's casual vibrancy. Kids playing, a street vendor selling tamales nearby. Maya felt the weight of Vanessa's gaze as she approached, her eyes flicking over Maya's simple jeans and sweater with a faint smirk. Vanessa said, "You must be the teacher," her voice cool, appraising. "I'm Vanessa Mitchell." "Maya Johnson," Maya replied, standing tall, her Oakland-bred resilience kicking in. She'd faced judgment before, parents doubting her credentials, skeptics underestimating her grit. This was no different. Ethan slowed on the swing, his smile fading. "Vanessa," he said, not moving toward her. The word, "not mom," cut through the air. Nathan stepped forward, his posture protective. "What do you want, Vanessa? You haven't called in months." "I saw the article," Vanessa said, her tone sharp. "You're back in the spotlight, Nathan. With her." She nodded toward Maya. "I want to make sure Ethan's not caught in your choices." Maya's jaw clenched, but she stayed silent, her hand on Ethan's shoulder. Ethan leaned into her, his small body tense. "I'm fine," he mumbled, eyes on the ground. Vanessa's smirk softened, but her words stayed pointed. "A kindergarten teacher, Nathan? Really? She's charming, I'm sure. But this," she gestured to Maya, "is a phase. Ethan needs stability, not someone dazzled by your money." "That's enough," Nathan snapped, his voice low but firm. "Maya's here for Ethan, not my bank account. You gave up your say when you walked away." Vanessa's eyes narrowed, but she didn't argue. She knelt to Ethan's level, her voice softer. "I'm here for a few days, sweetheart. Can we get ice cream?" Ethan shrugged, clinging to Maya's hand. "I like it with Miss Maya," he said quietly. Vanessa stood, her expression tightening. "We'll talk later, Nathan," she said, then turned and left, her heels clicking on the pavement. Maya exhaled, her heart pounding. Ethan's grip on her hand didn't loosen. "You okay, buddy?" she asked, kneeling beside him. He nodded, but his eyes were wet. "I don't want her here," he whispered. "You make me feel safe." Maya hugged him, her throat tight. She promised, "I'm not going anywhere," though Vanessa's words echoed. Phase, dazzled, stability. Was she enough for Ethan? For Nathan? That evening, in her West Oakland apartment, Maya sat with Aunt Clara, the TV humming with a game show. Clara, leaning on her walker, studied her. "You're quiet, baby girl. What happened?" Maya recounted the park, Vanessa's cutting words, and the tabloid's fallout. "I love them, Clara, Nathan, and Ethan. But his world, it's tearing into mine. My job, my home here. What if I lose who I am?" Clara's eyes, sharp despite her illness, held Maya's. "You grew up in this city, just like me. We've faced worse than gossip, redlining, loss, and hard times. You're stronger than you know. If this man and his boy are worth it, don't let some fancy ex-wife scare you off." Maya nodded, Clara's words grounding her like the gospel hymns of her childhood, sung at Bethel AME Church. Oakland had taught her to stand firm and build community through trust. But as she lay in bed, Vanessa's smirk and the tabloid's accusations lingered. Could she hold on to her identity? Teacher, neighbor, daughter of Oakland, while loving a man whose life drew such scrutiny? The answer felt just out of reach, a question that would define her next steps. The hum of West Oakland's morning buzzed outside Maya Johnson's apartment. Kids shouting in the street, a neighbor's radio playing gospel from Bethel AME Church. but silence pressed against her inside. The tabloid article exposing her romance with Nathan Carter lingered like a bruise. Its words, gold digger, ordinary teacher, cutting deeper each time she recalled them. Vanessa's smirk at the park, her accusation that Maya was a phase, had sharpened the sting. Worse, Maya's principal had called her into a meeting, and the outcome still weighed on her. A polite suspension, framed as personal time to avoid paparazzi at school. Her classroom, her kindergartners, her life's anchor, felt like they were slipping away. Maya sat on her worn couch, a stack of ungraded papers untouched on the coffee table. Her phone buzzed with texts. Colleagues asking if the article was genuine, a parent worried about disruptions. She'd texted Nathan to ask for space, and her words were brief. "I'm okay. Need time." His replies were gentle and worried, but he respected her distance, sending only a daily check-in. Yesterday, Ethan had sent a drawing through Nathan's phone. A crayon sketch of the three of them under a tree, with "We miss you" scrawled below. The sight of it had made Maya's eyes sting. Ethan's small handwriting, a reminder of the boy who'd clung to her in the park. She stood pacing the small apartment, its walls lined with photos of her and Aunt Clara at community picnics, church fundraisers, and Oakland's Juneteenth celebrations. This was her world, hard-earned, rooted in the city's resilience, where neighbors shared meals and stories of survival. Teaching was her calling, a way to give back to the community that had raised her. But Nathan's world, mansions, tabloids, ex-wives like Vanessa, threatened to unravel it. Could she love him and Ethan without losing herself? The question gnawed at her, a knot she couldn't untie. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Lisa, her colleague and friend from West Oakland Elementary, held 2 cups from Bean and Leaf. "Figured you could use some company," Lisa said, her smile warm but concerned. "And their Oakland blend, strong enough to wake you up." Maya managed a half-smile, letting her in. "You didn't have to check on me." "Girl, please," Lisa said, setting the cups on the table. "You've been holed up here all week. I saw that article. Bunch of nonsense, but it's got you shook. Talk to me." They sat, and Maya poured out the mess. Vanessa's cutting words, the tabloid's lies, the suspension. "It's not just the gossip," she said, her voice tight. "It's my job, Lisa. I've worked for years to build trust with those kids, those parents. Now they think I'm chasing Nathan's money. What if I can't go back? Teaching is who I am." Lisa sipped her coffee, her eyes steady. "You're more than your job, Maya. You're the woman who stays late to help a kid read, who organizes book drives for the community center. That's you, not some tabloid headline. You think Oakland's gonna turn on you over this? We're tougher than that. Remember when they tried to cut our school's funding? We fought back. Marches, meetings, all of us together. You're part of that." Maya nodded, Lisa's words echoing the strength of their city. Block parties where elders shared stories, protests that had saved their library. "But Nathan's life," she said, "is so big. Mansions, billions. I'm afraid I'll get lost in it. Stop being me." "Then don't," Lisa said, leaning forward. "You set the terms. If he's worth it, he'll meet you where you are. And that little boy? Sounds like he needs you as much as you care about him." Maya's thoughts drifted to Ethan, his shy confession about wanting a mom, and his trust in her. She loved him, loved Nathan, but the cost felt steep. "What if I can't handle it?" she asked. "The cameras, the judgment?" "You've handled worse," Lisa said. "You carried your aunt through chemo, kept your kids learning through budget cuts. You're built for this, Maya. The question is, do you want it?" The question lingered as Lisa left, her coffee cup a small comfort on the table. Maya opened her phone and reread Ethan's drawing about the stick figures under a tree. "We miss you," she whispered, her chest aching. She wanted them. Nathan's quiet attention, Ethan's giggles. But the fear of losing her identity, her place in Oakland's heartbeat, held her back. That afternoon, her principal called again. Her tone clipped. "We're keeping you on paid leave, Maya. Parents are still concerned about media attention. We'll reassess next week." The words hit like a punch. Paid leave was a bandage, not a solution. Her classroom, her kids' drawings pinned to the walls, felt like a distant memory. She texted Nathan. "School's keeping me on leave. I'm trying to figure this out." His reply was instant. "I'm here when you're ready. We miss you." Maya curled up on the couch, the gospel music from outside fading into the background. Oakland had always been her strength, and its community was her foundation. But Nathan and Ethan had carved out a space in her heart, a family she hadn't expected. Could she hold on to both, her roots and their love? Or would choosing them mean letting go of the teacher, the neighbor, the woman she'd fought to become? As the sun set, casting shadows across her small apartment, Maya felt the weight of her choice, a crossroads that would define her future. The morning light filtered through the faded curtains of Maya Johnson's West Oakland apartment, casting soft patterns on the hardwood floor. A week had passed since the tabloid article, and Vanessa's cutting words had upended her life, leaving her on paid leave from West Oakland Elementary and wrestling with doubts about her place in Nathan Carter's world. The silence of her apartment, usually filled with the hum of Oakland streets, vendors calling, kids laughing, the distant pulse of a drum circle, felt stifling. Maya sat on her couch, staring at Ethan's crayon drawing of the three of them under a tree. His scrawled, "We miss you," tugging at her heart. She'd texted Nathan sparingly, asking for space, and he'd respected it. His replies gentle, but tinged with worry. A knock at the door startled her. She opened it to find Maria, Nathan's housekeeper, standing there, her expression kind, but purposeful. In her hands was a cream-colored envelope, sealed with a wax stamp. "Mr. Carter asked me to deliver this personally," Maria said. "He said it's essential." Maya took the envelope, her fingers tracing the neat handwriting of her name. "Thank you, Maria," she said, her voice quiet. She closed the door, her pulse quickening as she sat back on the couch. The envelope felt weighty, not just paper, but a promise, a plea. She broke the seal and unfolded a letter, Nathan's words filling the page in precise, earnest script. "Maya, I understand why you needed space. The tabloid, Vanessa, the invasion of your life, everything I tried to shield you and Ethan from. I feel responsible and sorry for the chaos I've caused. You didn't ask for this, and you deserve better. Meeting you changed me. I've spent years hiding and protecting Ethan from the spotlight and myself. After my divorce, when a friend betrayed me to the press, I built walls, thinking they'd keep us safe. But they kept me from living. You showed me what it means to connect without pretense, to be seen for who I am, not what I have. Your kindness to Ethan, stories of your students, and love for Oakland are real and have brought joy back to my life. I've taken steps to fix what I can. My lawyers have sent cease and desist letters to the publications that printed your name. I've spoken with your principal, who is offering to fund security at your school to keep the paparazzi away. Most importantly, I've found a house in a typical Oakland neighborhood, near your apartment. Not a mansion, but a home where Ethan can ride his bike, where we can have neighbors who don't care about my bank account, where you might feel at ease if you choose to be part of our lives. Because that's what I want, Maya. I want you to be part of our family. Ethan asks for you every day. The park isn't the same without you, and neither are we. I love you, completely. Not because you're perfect, but because you're you. You see me, not the billionaire. Just the man who loves his son and looks forward to every moment with you. If you can forgive the chaos and join us in the future, please meet me at noon tomorrow at our usual bench in Lincoln Park. I've hired security to ensure no pressure, no cameras, just us. Whatever you decide, thank you for showing me what happiness feels like, even if it was just for a while. All my love. Nathan. Maya read the letter twice, tears blurring the words. Nathan's vulnerability, his promise of a simpler life, stirred something deep within her. She thought of Ethan's trust, his need for a family, Nathan's quiet attention in the park, and how he'd listened to her dreams. But the tabloid's accusations, Vanessa's smirk, and her suspension loomed large. Could she hold on to her identity, teacher, neighbor, daughter of Oakland, while stepping into his world? Aunt Clara shuffled into the room, her walker clicking softly. She glanced at the letter in Maya's hands. "What's that boy saying now?" she asked, her voice sharp but warm. Maya handed her the letter, wiping her eyes. Clara read slowly, her expression softening. When she finished, she set it down and took Maya's hand. "That's a man who knows what he wants," she said. "And he wants you, baby girl." "But what if I lose myself?" Maya asked, her voice trembling. "My job, my place here, it's all I've built. His world changes everything." Clara's eyes, wise from years of navigating Oakland's challenges, held hers. "You grew up in this city, just like me. We've faced hard times, losing our parents, fighting for our community when the world counted us out. Love doesn't erase who you are, it adds to it. My mama used to say, 'Family is the root, love is the bloom.' If this man and his boy are your bloom, don't let fear stop you from growing." Maya's throat tightened, Clara's words echoing the resilience of their city. Block parties where neighbors danced, protests that saved schools, the gospel hymns that carried them through grief. Oakland was her foundation, but Nathan and Ethan had become her heart. "What should I do?" she whispered. Clara squeezed her hand. "What does your heart say? Not the papers, not that ex-wife, not even me. You." Maya closed her eyes, picturing Ethan's giggle, Nathan's steady gaze, the park bench where they'd laughed over spy squirrels. She thought of her classroom, her students' drawings, and the community that had shaped her. Then she imagined a life without Nathan and Ethan, a hollow ache she couldn't bear. "I need to go to the park tomorrow," she said finally. Clara smiled, her eyes bright. "You might say that." As Maya folded the letter, tucking it beside Ethan's drawing, a cautious hope stirred. Nathan's words promised a future, not of mansions or headlines, but of family, of love. But could they face the scrutiny together? Tomorrow, at their bench, she'd find out. The morning sun bathed Lincoln Park in a soft glow, the air alive with the chatter of sparrows and the distant rhythm of a street drummer on MacArthur Boulevard. Maya Johnson walked the familiar path, her yellow sundress swaying, the same one she'd worn the day she met Ethan Carter. Her hands trembled slightly, Nathan's letter tucked in her purse beside Ethan's drawing. Clara's words from yesterday echoed in her mind. What does your heart say? Oakland's heartbeat, its music, murals, and resilient spirit had always guided her. Today, it led her to their usual bench, where she'd either find a future with Nathan and Ethan or let them go. Her suspension from West Oakland Elementary stung, the tabloid's accusations and Vanessa's cruel words lingering like a bitter aftertaste. But Nathan's letter, his promise of a simpler life, his love laid bare, had stirred a hope she couldn't ignore. She rounded the playground corner, her breath catching as she saw Nathan alone on the bench, his head bowed, hands clasped tightly. He looked up, scanning the path, and when his eyes met hers, a radiant hope bloomed across his face, stealing her breath. "Maya," he said, standing as she approached, his voice thick with relief. "You came." "I came," she said, stopping a few feet away, her heart pounding. "I read your letter, Nathan. Every word." He stepped closer, his blue eyes searching hers, a mix of love and uncertainty. "I meant it all, especially the part about loving you. Ethan wanted to be here, but we should talk first. He's with Emma, going crazy waiting." Maya smiled faintly, picturing Ethan's eager grin. "I missed him," she admitted. "I missed you both." Nathan's expression softened, but he didn't reach for her, giving her space. "I know this. My world, the media, Vanessa. It's a lot. I've spent years hiding from it, Maya, thinking it was best for Ethan. But it kept me from living, from trusting. You changed that. I don't want to lose you over things that don't matter." "Your life matters," Maya said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Your company, your home, it's part of you. I'd never ask you to change that." "You're not asking," Nathan said, his tone firm. "I'm offering. A house is just a house. A home is where the people you love are. For Ethan and me, that's with you." Maya's eyes stung, his words cutting through her doubts. She thought of her classroom, her students' laughter, the Oakland community that had shaped her, block parties, church suppers, the strength of neighbors who'd fought for their schools. Could she hold on to that and build a life with Nathan and Ethan? "The media won't just go away," she said. "It's already cost me my job and my privacy." "I know," Nathan said, his voice heavy. "It won't always be easy. There'll be cameras, gossip, and people like Vanessa. But we can face it together, on our terms. I've hidden too long, Maya. Not just from the world, but from love, from a future. I want that future with you." His sincerity pierced her, echoing the resilience she'd learned from Oakland's streets, where community meant standing together through storms. She took a deep breath, her decision crystallizing. "I love you, Nathan," she whispered. "I tried to be sensible and protect myself, but I can't imagine my life without you and Ethan." Nathan's smile broke like dawn, and he closed the distance, taking her hand. "Love isn't sensible," he said, his voice warm. "It's messy, complicated, wonderful, like us." When he kissed her, soft and sure under the park's oaks, Maya felt a certainty settle in her bones. This was home, not the mansion, not the headlines, but this moment, this choice. They parted, foreheads touching, when a sudden flash startled them. A photographer leapt from behind a tree, camera clicking rapidly. "Mr. Carter, is this your new girlfriend?" "Maya, how does it feel to date a billionaire?" Maya froze, her old fears surging. Tabloids, judgment, her life exposed. But Nathan stepped in front of her, his posture calm but unyielding. He faced the photographer, his voice steady. "This is Maya Johnson, the woman I love. That's all you need to know." He took Maya's hand, his grip firm, and led her toward the park exit, ignoring the photographer's shouts. Two security guards, hired by Nathan, appeared, ensuring their path was clear. In the safety of his car, Maya let out a shaky breath. "That's your reality," she said, half question, half statement. "Yes," Nathan admitted, his eyes meeting hers. "But it won't always be like this. We'll find our way and create our own normal, together. Maya looked at him, the man who'd stumbled into her life because of a lost boy, who saw her for who she was. Teacher, neighbor, woman with roots in Oakland's soul. Together, she agreed, a smile breaking through. That sounds right. Nathan's phone buzzed, and he checked it, a grin spreading. Ethan's losing it waiting. I told Emma we'd pick him up on the way. On the way where? Maya asked, her curiosity piqued. Nathan said, his eyes twinkling, to see the house I mentioned in the letter. A usual place, near your apartment. Ethan's already claiming a room. Maya squeezed his hand, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. As they drove to pick up Ethan, Oakland's vibrant streets unfolding around them, she felt the promise of a new beginning, one that could hold her world and theirs, if they faced it side by side. The Oakland sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over a tree-lined street in a diverse neighborhood blocks from Maya Johnson's West Oakland apartment. Maya sat in Nathan Carter's car, Ethan bouncing in the back seat, as they pulled into the driveway of a charming two-story home. Its wraparound porch and modest yard, dotted with wildflowers, felt like a world away from Nathan's Piedmont Hills mansion. After their reunion in Lincoln Park, Nathan's promise of a simpler life led them to a house that felt like a fresh start. Maya's heart lifted, though a thread of caution lingered. Her suspension from West Oakland Elementary still loomed, a reminder of the scrutiny Nathan's world brought. Ethan unbuckled himself, his dinosaur backpack slung over one shoulder. "Miss Maya, see my room!" he shouted, scrambling out. "I picked the blue one!" Nathan chuckled, exchanging a glance with Maya. "Let's show her around first, buddy," he said, his hand brushing hers as they stepped onto the porch. The gesture was small, grounding, a reminder of their shared commitment after the park's photographer ambush. The house welcomed them with hardwood floors and large windows that let in the late afternoon light. An open kitchen overlooked a cozy living room, nothing like the sterile grandeur of Nathan's mansion. A staircase led to the second floor, and a ground-floor guest suite caught Maya's eye with its entrance and expansive windows. Nathan said this could be perfect for Aunt Clara, his tone casual but deliberate. No stairs, plenty of space, if she'd consider it. Maya's breath caught. Despite her illness, Clara was fiercely independent and had raised her in Oakland's vibrant heart. Church picnics, community gardens, and stories of resilience. Moving her felt like a big step, but the thoughtfulness in Nathan's voice softened her defenses. "It's beautiful," she said, running her hand along the kitchen counter. "But you don't have to change everything for me." "This isn't a change," Nathan said, his eyes steady. "It's a home. I bought the mansion after the divorce, thinking Ethan needed everything. But he needs this. Neighbors, a yard, normalcy. We both do." Ethan tugged Maya's hand, pulling her upstairs. See, the blue room he'd claimed was perfect for a boy his age, with built-in bookshelves and a window seat overlooking the backyard. He pointed to the room next door, smaller but charming, with an ensuite bathroom. "Daddy says this could be yours," he said matter-of-factly, "for sleepovers, or maybe all the time, like a family." Maya's eyes widened, and she glanced at Nathan, who looked sheepish. "I got ahead of myself," he admitted, rubbing his neck. "But I wanted Ethan to know it's a possibility. No pressure." She knelt to Ethan's level, her heart swelling at his hopeful grin. "Would you like that, Ethan? If I were part of your family?" "Yeah," he said, nodding fiercely. "You make Daddy smile, and you know about dinosaurs." "High praise," Nathan said from the doorway, his voice warm with affection. They toured the rest of the house, and Maya saw it through new eyes, not as a downgrade, but as a place where their lives could blend. The neighborhood, alive with kids biking and neighbors chatting, felt like West Oakland's community spirit. Block parties, shared laughter, the strength of people who showed up for each other. It felt right. like home. Back at her apartment that evening, Maya sat with Clara, the scent of jasmine tea filling the air. "He found a house," she said, describing the porch and the guest suite. "He wants you to have your own space, if you'd consider moving." Clara raised an eyebrow, her walker beside her. "Trying to get rid of me already?" "No," Maya laughed, squeezing her hand. "It's about family. Ethan wants to learn chess from you." Clara's expression softened. "That boy's got you wrapped around his finger. And that man too, I bet." She paused, her eyes sharp. "Oakland's taught us to hold on to what matters. Let them in if they're your people." Maya nodded, Clara's words echoing the city's resilience. Protests that saved schools, neighbors who rebuilt after loss. Later, she called Nathan. "Clara's open to visiting the house. And I want to see it again with both of you." His voice lit up. "We'll be there tomorrow." The following week, Nathan arranged a meeting with Maya's principal, offering to fund security to ease concerns about media attention. Maya returned to teaching, the whispers from parents fading as her dedication shone through. One morning, as she pinned a student's drawing to her classroom wall, Lisa stopped by. "You're back where you belong," she said, grinning. "And that smile says the billionaires are still around." "He's more than that," Maya said, her voice firm. "He's family." As they walked to the new house that weekend, Ethan skipping ahead, Maya felt Oakland's heartbeat. The murals, the music, the community merge with the promise of a life with Nathan and Ethan. The house wasn't just a building, but a step towards something lasting, if they could weather the storms ahead. The lake shimmered under the stars, its surface reflecting a sky strewn with light as Maya Johnson sat on the deck of a rustic cabin, nestled in the Oakland hills. Nathan Carter's arm rested around her shoulders, his warmth steady against the cool night air. Exhausted from a day of canoeing, Ethan slept inside, his dinosaur pajamas a reminder of the boy who'd brought them together. The past months in their new home, a charming two-story in a vibrant Oakland neighborhood, had woven their lives into a rhythm of love and routine. Aunt Clara had settled into the guest suite, and her chess games with Ethan were a new tradition. Maya's return to teaching, bolstered by Nathan's school donation, had quieted the gossip, though whispers lingered. Tonight, this getaway was their first as a family, a moment to breathe. "Happy?" Nathan asked, his voice soft, echoing the question he'd asked in the park months ago. "Completely," Maya said, leaning into him. Oakland's heartbeat, its music, murals, and resilient spirit, felt close even here, grounding her as she built this new life with Nathan and Ethan. Nathan shifted, his tone turning nervous. "I have another idea, but I don't know." He took her hands, his eyes searching hers. "These months have been the happiest of my life. You've brought joy to me, to Ethan, to our home. I don't want to wait to ask you this." He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, opening it to reveal a sapphire ring, deep blue, matching the lake before them. "Maya Johnson, will you marry me? Will you be the family we already are in our hearts?" Maya's breath caught, tears welling as she saw the sincerity in his eyes. The ring wasn't ostentatious, but perfect, chosen for her. "Yes, Nathan," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." Their kiss was a promise, warm and certain, sealing a future they'd chosen together. A noise at the cabin door made them turn. Ethan stood there, rubbing his eyes, his voice sleepy. "Did she say yes, Daddy?" Nathan laughed, pulling him close. "You were supposed to be asleep, buddy." Ethan said I helped pick the ring, climbing into Maya's lap. "Blue's your favorite." "It's perfect," Maya said, holding out her hand, the sapphire catching the moonlight. "So are you. We're a family now?" Ethan asked, his small face serious. "We already are," Maya said, hugging him. "This makes it official." The wedding was planned for spring, a simple ceremony in the backyard of their blue house, as they'd taken to calling it. Clara insisted on helping, her health steadier in the new space, declaring, "I didn't raise you to let someone else plan your wedding." Ethan practiced as ring bearer, marching solemnly with a pillow. On the morning of the wedding, Maya stood in her room, Clara adjusting her simple white dress. "Your heart's home now," Clara said, her eyes shining. "Oakland raised you strong, but this family's your bloom." "I wish my parents could see this," Maya said softly. "They do," Clara said, touching her heart. "Right here." Downstairs, their small gathering waited. Nathan's parents, Maya's colleagues, neighbors who'd welcomed them with potlucks and smiles, even Marco from the Italian restaurant. Ethan led the way, careful not to drop the rings, his grin wide. Maya walked alone under an arch of spring flowers, her eyes on Nathan, whose face lit with joy. Their vows were heartfelt, promising love, family, and resilience. Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger, adding, "You showed me what love looks like, Maya. You loved Ethan without hesitation, saw me beyond the headlines, and made our house a home." Maya placed his ring, her voice steady. "You value what matters, Nathan. You gave me a family to call my own." At the reception, Ethan tapped his juice glass, announcing a gift. He handed Maya a framed drawing, 3 stick figures by a blue house, a squirrel scribbling nearby, labeled, "Our Family." "I drew it when we met," he said. "You were special from the start." Maya hugged him, tears falling. "This is the best gift ever." A year later, a minor tabloid story speculated about their quiet life. Maya and Nathan laughed it off, secure in their blue house where neighbors cared more about block parties than headlines. Clara taught Ethan chess, Maya graded papers in the sunny kitchen, and Nathan worked from his home office, always present. As they sat on the porch one evening, Ethan napped between them. Clara counted fireflies, and Maya reflected on their journey. A lost boy in a park had led her to love, to a family she hadn't known she needed. "Fate," she murmured, leaning into Nathan. "Like a stranger in a sandbox," he said, kissing her forehead. "Not a stranger," Maya corrected. "Family, now and always."